When it comes to Roman civilization, everybody knows the name Julius Caesar, a name that has shaken the very foundation of Roman civilization by ending the era of Roman Republic and giving birth to Roman Empire. Gaius Julius Caesar was born on July 13 in 100 BCE in a noble family in Rome. But birth in a noble family did not give him much advancement, as his family did not have enough wealth or influence in the Senate. On top of that, Caesar had to head his family when he was only 16 after his father's death. To hold the family name, young Caesar had to put all his effort in establishing alliance with the country's nobility and married Cornelia, the daughter of a nobleman in 84 BCE. But Cornelia's father was the political rival of Roman dictator Sulla, who had just won the civil war in Rome. Sulla ordered Caesar to divorce Cornelia, which he refused, and to escape the dictator's wrath he went into hiding. His family intervened to convince Sulla to spare his life. Sulla allowed him to live but stripped him of his title and inheritance. Caesar then joined the military and made a name for himself by earning the prestigious civic crown for his courage at the siege of Mytilene in 80 BCE. After Sulla's death in 78 BCE, Caesar returned to Rome and began his political career as a prosecuting advocate. In 75 BCE, Caesar embarked on a journey to Rhodes to study philosophy and oratory. During his travels he was captured and kidnapped by pirates. Instead of acting like other captives, Caesar displayed a domineering leadership and counterinsurgency tactics, making his ransom go up as it allowed him to hold a strong position among captives. After collecting his ransom, the pirates let him go. As soon as he got free, he organized a fleet and captured the pirates. One after another, his military approach and cunning intelligence allowed him to become a military tribune and quaestor of a Roman province in 69 BCE. After his first wife's death, he married Pompeia, a granddaughter of Sulla, to form an alliance with Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus. In 65 BCE, Caesar became aedile, an important Roman magistrate, and produced lavish games in the Circus Maximus. These games allowed him to win the public but put him under heavy debt. 2 years later, he was elected Pontifex Maximus. Caesar divorced Pompeia in 62 BCE but maintained his alliance with Pompey, which enabled him to get elected as consul in 59 BCE. The same year, Caesar remarried a teenager named Calpurnia, to whom he remained married for the rest of his life. While governing under Pompey, Caesar aligned himself with the wealthy military leader Marcus Licinius Crassus and formed a strategic political alliance among Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus that was known as the First Triumvirate. Even though Pompey and Crassus were rivals, Caesar's negotiation skill kept peace between them, allowing Caesar to utilize both of their financial and political support to rise in power. In 58 BCE, Caesar was appointed governor of the vast region of Gaul that allowed him to command a large army. During the subsequent Gallic Wars, Caesar conducted a series of brilliant campaigns and conquered the rest of Gaul up to the river Rhine, earning the reputation as a formidable and ruthless military leader. As Caesar's power and prestige grew, Pompey started resenting him, and complicated relationship between Caesar, Pompey and Crassus became even more strained. The three leaders patched things up temporarily in 56 BCE at a conference in Lucca that allowed Caesar's existing territorial rule for another 5 years, Crassus a 5-year term in Syria, and Pompey a 5-year term in Spain. However, after the death of Caesar's daughter Julia, who was married to Pompey, and the death of Crassus in Syria, Pompey's suspicion reignited, making him align with Caesar's opponents, and ordered Caesar to return to Rome by giving up his army. Instead of submission, Caesar directed his army to cross the Rubicon River into Rome, triggering a civil war between his supporters and those of Pompey. Pompey and his troops were no match for Caesar's army and his military prowess. Pompey fled Rome, and by late 48 BCE, Caesar subdued Pompey and his supporters in Rome, Spain, and Greece. As the last resort, Pompey fled to Egypt. The Egyptians knew of Pompey's defeats and believed the gods favored Caesar. As soon as Pompey stepped into Egypt, he was assassinated by the order of child Pharaoh Ptolemy VIII. Pompey's assassination outraged Caesar. At that time Ptolemy was in war with his Egyptian co-regent Cleopatra VII. Caesar fell in love with Cleopatra and forged an alliance with her to overthrow Ptolemy. Together they conquered Egypt, and Cleopatra gave birth to Caesar's son Ptolemy XV Caesar, known as Caesarion. Caesar spent the next few years wiping out his enemies across Middle East, Africa, and Spain. Upon his triumphant return to Rome, Caesar was hailed as the father of Rome, and in 44 BCE he declared himself dictator for life. Caesar put a great effort in transforming Roman Empire to its glory by relieving debt and reforming the Senate. He altered Roman calendar and created Julian calendar, which we still use in this modern era. Soon Caesar became a benevolent ruler and even invited his defeated rivals to join him in the government. Although he became popular among people, his rise in power became a matter of concern, unease, and envy among Roman senates and politicians. Moreover, most Romans were against monarchical rule, so they resented Caesar's dictatorship and conspired to end his life. On March 15, 44 BCE, on the Ides of March, the senators led by Gaius Cassius Longinus, Decimus Junius Brutus Albinus and Marcus Junius Brutus stabbed Caesar 23 times to end his life and reign. After getting stabbed so many times, Caesar fell bleeding onto the Senate floor at the feet of a statue of Pompey that led him to his demise, and he became a martyr. Although he was never formally recognized as an emperor, his fame, military prowess and crafty leadership has made him one of the most recognized leaders throughout history.